I did some informal tests to figure out the benefits and drawbacks of the Zoom F3. In my test with Emma, which I posted on YouTube a few days ago, I found that the TASCAM Portacapture had slightly better fidelity to my ears than the Zoom F3. But that might be subjective. After all, I have a bias against these gainless recorders because of the marketing nonsense associated with them. I have long argued that 32-bit float has nothing to do with clipping, or that it makes the gain knob obsolete. Instead, I have suspected that the reduction of clipping is due to the lowering of gain. My further tests with the F3 have borne this out. To figure out what the gain is for the Zoom F3 compared to other recorders, I did tests against my TASCAM Portacapture X6. The TASCAM has two gain settings, low and high. In each gain configuration, you can boost gain further. The low will go from 0 to 35 dB, the high gain starts at 22 dB and will increase to 57. Put together, the TASCAM can add up to 60 dB of gain through both master gain configurations. I found that if I set the TASCAM to low gain with no additional gain, it matched the Zoom F3. I believe that is true for most recorders. Whatever recorder you have, I believe the Zoom would record at its lowest gain setting. I base this finding on this. If I recorded using the same mic for each, both recording to 32-bit float, they normalized to matching peaks in post. I also tried to calibrate on 0 dB FS, but the gain is so low on TASCAM, and I assume the Zoom F3, that I don't believe I could have clipped using my speakers without destroying them, my ears, or both. The more I worked with the recorders, however, the more comfortable I became with my assessment that the Zoom F3 records at a very low gain setting. With the gain setting settled, the next area I want to look at is noise. Okay, so the TASCAM up here, I was recording at its lowest gain setting, and the Zoom down here. So the first thing I listened for is the noise. So let's listen to the noise in the TASCAM. Remember, this is gained so we can hear the noise.
Okay, it probably would be difficult to hear me in the TASCAM, but if I put the TASCAM at low gain, 0 dB,
and now let's go listen to the Zoom, same thing.
Okay, it probably would be difficult to hear me in the TASCAM, but if I put the TASCAM at low gain, 0 dB, it's basically the lowest gain.
So when I first listened to this, I thought, yeah, the Zoom is a lot better. Not tremendously, but a little bit. If you can look at the waveform, you can see that. I noticed that the Zoom F3 seemed quieter than when recording room noise. I expected the TASCAM X6 to be equal. So was I wrong? Did the Zoom F3 just have better preamps or technology? Then I remembered there's a setting for noise gate in the TASCAM. I set that to low, ran another test, and voila! The exact same low noise that came out of the Zoom. Okay, now I have the TASCAM. The only thing that has changed is I've added a noise gate low, and you can see that the waveforms now have quieted down. I've normalized to this part over here. So let's first listen to the TASCAM. And as you can hear, I can't hear anything, right? There's nothing. And then let's just go to the Zoom. Same thing, I can't hear anything.
Okay, I now have...
Well, except that part. And now let's go to the part where I'm speaking.
0 dB. This sentence is 0 dB.
0 dB. This sentence is 0 dB.
Negative 6 dB. This sentence is negative 6 dB.
Negative 6 dB. This sentence is negative 6 dB.
Negative 12 dB.
And I can't hear any noise in between those phrases. So let's go to the Zoom.
0 dB. This sentence is 0 dB.
0 dB. This sentence is 0 dB.
Negative 6 dB. This sentence is negative 6 dB.
Negative 6 dB. This sentence is negative 6 dB.
Negative 12 dB.
So to me, they both sound roughly the same. Again, the TASCAM, I now have the noise gate on set to low, and it pretty much gives me an identical signal to the Zoom. Setting the TASCAM Portacapture to the lowest gain setting and activating the noise gate will do exactly what the Zoom F3 does. The TASCAM allows you to further customize the noise gate to low, middle, or high, but high can start to eat into a signal. The TASCAM also allows you to add digital filters like low cut, limiters, compression, and EQ. I also compared the Zoom F3 to the TASCAM DR70D, which was released 10 years ago, around late 2015. I found that it too matched the Zoom when its master gain was set too low, with no additional gain added. If I talked in front of a mic and boosted both, the Zoom sounded good with very little noise. The TASCAM had some noise, but just like my test with Emma, I felt the TASCAM had a slightly crisper, more natural sound, while the Zoom was ever so slightly muffled. In this comparison, I'm comparing the 10-year-old TASCAM 70D with the Zoom. Now, as expected, the noise will be a lot less in the Zoom first, but the TASCAM is totally usable. So let's just start with the TASCAM. Okay, well, I've set the TASCAM 70D to 8 AM, right? And now let's hear the Zoom. Okay, well, I've set the TASCAM 70D to 8 AM, around 8:30. Much lower noise, but, totally usable. And again, I would never record like this, right? This is really speaking very low. The mic is far away. So let's now go to where I'm speaking at a reasonable distance. And we'll do the TASCAM first. Actually, no, let's do the Zoom first so you can just hear. This is the quietest in a sense, right? So now, we won't need to boost this quite as much because my mouth is about 1 foot away from both mics. Am I seeing something on the TASCAM? Yeah, I'm just probably. So now the question will be, now we're going to listen to the 10-year-old recorder. Does it really sound that much different? And it has no noise suppression, DSP type stuff in it. So now, we won't need to boost this quite as much because my mouth is about 1 foot away from both mics. Am I seeing something on the TASCAM? Yeah, I'm just probably reading around 40 to 30 dB on the TASCAM 70D. So in this portion, obviously, we'd gain a little bit differently. So probably gain. Yeah, to me, it's pretty much the same. To be clear, both would sound the same to anyone listening on YouTube. Therefore, anyone recording with a 10-year-old audio recorder can get the same quality as a Zoom with modern noise reduction software. Of course, that's my opinion, but even without it, the 10-year-old recorder sounded great to my ears. In the end, the only difference I could see in output between the Zoom F3 and TASCAM Portacapture was when I didn't enable the noise gate on the X6. Therefore, it seems to me that the only new technology on the Zoom F3 is on-chip noise reduction, which is hardwired to stay on. So why is it sold primarily on its 32-bit float storage system? That's interesting. Many people who test audio equipment for YouTube have focused on self-noise over the years. So people have raised their gain to get away from it. That brought another problem where they experienced clipping when subjects got too close to the microphone. So the chipset makers worked on putting digital signal processing on their ADC chips. By removing noise, the signal could be amplified a lot more in post without noise, reducing the need for users to add gain just to get their signal above the noise floor. But again, show a meter, most people will try to fill it. So Zoom shrewdly removed the gain knob. After all, it would have been a harder sell for the manufacturers to say, we've removed noise so you don't need to set your gain high. Users would become suspicious. YouTubers would check to make sure the digital noise removal isn't removing signal too. Because it will do that. The TASCAM did it to me when I set the noise gate too high. Therefore, my theory is the manufacturers shrewdly claim the reason for less clipping comes from 32-bit float. That isn't true, as I've done many videos explaining. But they didn't want to blame the user for riding the gain knob too hard. They had to give the buyer a positive reason to buy their recorder. By taking away the user's ability to change gain, adding in chip-level noise reduction, then for cover using the reasoning that it's a 32-bit float, the manufacturers have been able to offer audio recorders that are cheaper to make, less knobs, With audio recording, this is almost impossible to screw up. From the buyer's perspective, they are getting a new advanced technology that will help achieve their objective, even if that new technology is not what they think it is. Again, the technology is chip-level noise reduction, not 32-bit float. Yes, it's almost impossible to clip the Zoom F3, but that's the same for other recorders at their lowest gain setting. If one uses noise reduction either from the recorder's chipset or in post, the results, I believe, are the same.